AITA because I refused to give my sister the gift she opened at Christmas? Hello all, this is my first post. Hopefully my long days of lurking taught me something. So this Christmas we all went to my, mid-30s Fahrenheit, parents' house. My sister, couple years younger, came with her husband. They have two kids who I love and spoil rotten. My mother asked for a heated blanket this Christmas, and because it's always very complicated to buy shared gifts, I told my sister and father I was buying one for her. When we started opening presents, I realized that my sister and her husband had opened the blanket. They looked at the label and sure enough, they finally gave the blanket to my mom and we opened the rest of the presents. Afterwards, my sister kept saying how she was sad that the heated blanket wasn't for her and looking to see my reaction. The thing is, 2 years ago, she kept complaining she was freezing and wanted a heated blanket for Christmas, so I bought her a heated blanket for Christmas. A few weeks later, she said she wasn't cold anymore and wanted me to give her a specific shirt instead. I tried to keep the peace and return the blanket, that was quite the hassle, and gave her the shirt for her birthday. Back to this Christmas, my mom let my sister use her new blanket, and every time she would see me, she would go on and on about how she loved it and wished she had one. Then my mother said she should ask me for one for her birthday. I kept my mouth shut the first few times, then said you are not getting another blanket from me. At that point, they said she had just made a mistake not keeping the gift. Saying, come on, give it to her, that she opened it by mistake, and she was all excited. I was more than a little annoyed and said, you had your chance, I gave you a heated blanket like you wanted, and then you didn't want it anymore. So if you want one, buy it yourself or ask someone else. I learned my lesson. I thought it was over. But a few days ago, my mother told me she was looking for a heated blanket for my sister, since I apparently wasn't buying her one. I said that's right and to stop talking about it. I may be TA because I'm keeping a grudge and my sister wants the gift she opened by mistake. On the other hand, what's really keeping me from giving it to her is that I don't think she is grateful, and it is very possible that she would once again change her mind if I give in. AITA, edit. Thank you everyone, I am feeling so validated right now, and as several of you figured out, this is a long pattern of behaviors. Sometimes I start wondering if I am actually wrong when so many things seem unbelievable, and I am the one getting blamed. I have enough stories about my family to write a book, so stay tuned, LOL Story 2. AITA for removing a crying 8-year-old that is not getting her way from the game table. I have 3 grandkids ages 3, 8, and 10 that recently visited. They all are great kids that are well-adjusted and generally well-behaved, but the middle one has a bossy temperament and a manipulative streak. The 8-year-old will start crying if she does not get her way, and her parents' technique is to reason with her. I asked the child if she would give me a hand in the kitchen, for which she replied, no, I don't think so. I said nothing and moved on to the other kids and asked them. The help I was requesting was to taste the wiped cream I just made. When she realized that I wanted a taste test, now she was all for helping. However, I told her I asked someone else to lick the spoon since she said no, which of course she blew up with one of her little tantrums. Apparently I was being cruel for treating her that way, and she was instantly coddled by her mother. The second incident was after dinner, when I was in the midst of cutting the cake. The child pointed to one to lay claim on it. Her father stated that the slices were big and to cut them in half. The child instantly started crying and said that she did not want hers cut in half, and cried more when I started to cut. I said, why are you crying? You can always have another piece. That was when her mother entered the scene and stated that she was crying for the way I was talking to her, as it made her stress out. I was hoping my son would stick up for me and tell her what actually happened. The next incident was when she and her sibling were about to play a game of chess, and both wanted to be white, and of course she started crying over this. Instead of them continuing to argue, I stepped in and stated that in all games of chess, we decide on who gets white by placing a piece of each color in our hands and selecting a hand, and whatever color you choose is the color you play. Well, she goes along with this, but selected the hand with the black piece, and she started crying louder. At which point, I gently lifted her off the chair and gently placed her on the ground, and calmly stated that she really did not want to play, and to let someone else get a chance to play. The reaction from her mother was a total meltdown. She acted as if I roughly picked the kid up and violently slammed her to the ground. She was going on about I had no right to discipline her child, or for me to tell them how to disciple her children. She was actually yelling at me in front of the other kids and told them they would never visit again because of the way I treated that particular child. My wife and I were both dumbfounded by her reaction and wondered if some type of underlying psychiatric issue unknown to us that just unraveled. It really was that bad.